Rihan and Samir were inseparable, two friends who made their living repairing old lanterns and selling them in the nearby towns. It was a simple life, but an honest one. After a particularly long day of work, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they were finally heading home. Samir smiled, adjusting the heavy bag slung over his shoulder. "Business was good today," he said, his voice laced with satisfaction. "Yes, but we have to catch the night train," Rihan replied, his tone a little more urgent. "If we miss it, we won't reach home tonight." As if on cue, the distant whistle of the train echoed through the evening air. They broke into a run, their footsteps thudding against the dusty path. Samir, being a bit quicker, pulled ahead. "Rihan, I'm getting in. I'll see you tomorrow," he shouted, vanishing into a crowded compartment just as the train lurched forward. Rihan wasn't far behind. With a final burst of energy, he managed to leap into another coach just as the train began to pick up speed. Darkness had fully fallen by now. The coach was dimly lit, occupied by only a handful of tired-looking passengers, each lost in their own world. Rihan found an empty seat by the window, the rhythmic clatter of the wheels a soothing lullaby. He rested his head against the cool glass and, almost immediately, drifted off to sleep. Hours later, he was violently jolted awake. The train screeched, a horrible metallic shriek, and came to an abrupt, unexpected halt. Sudden stop threw him forward in his seat. "What happened? Why did we stop here?" he muttered, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. He peered out the window into the inky blackness. A lone figure, a man, was walking along the platform, holding a lantern. "Brother, why has the train stopped?" Rihan called out. The man looked up, his face illuminated by the flickering light. "There's been a big accident up ahead on the track," he replied, his voice sounding distant. "It might take a while to clear." "Great." Just what he needed. Rihan sighed, frustrated. There was nothing to do but wait. He leaned back in his seat, closed his eyes, and slowly, the gentle rocking of the stationary train lulled him back to sleep. When he opened his eyes the next time, the train was moving again, but silently gliding through the night. A strange feeling crept over him. Something was very, very wrong. He looked around. The compartment was empty. Completely empty. The other passengers, the light chatter, the shuffling footsteps all gone. There was only him, surrounded by a heavy, unnerving silence. A cold shiver crawled up his spine. "Where did everyone go?" he whispered, his own voice sounding foreign in the stillness. The train slowed and came to a stop at a lonely, deserted station. Rihan, feeling a growing sense of dread, stepped out onto the platform. A weathered signboard hung crookedly from a post. In faded letters, it read, "Carvan Station." He'd never heard of this place before. "Is this even on my route?" he wondered aloud. The platform was desolate, wrapped in a suffocating silence that felt almost physical. There was no sign of life. No distant city lights, nothing but the dark and the quiet. Then he saw it. A faint light, flickering at the far end of the platform. An old man appeared from the shadows, pushing a small wooden cart, loaded with bundles of firewood. Relief washed over Rihan. "Sir," he called out, his voice echoing in the emptiness. "Can you tell me where this station is? I was heading to Nurobad." The old man stopped and stared at him for a long moment, his eyes deep-set and weary. "This is not the line to Nurobad," he said, his voice raspy with age. "You've reached Carvan, a station no one uses after nightfall." Rihan's unease intensified. "How do I get back? Are there any other trains?" "No train will come now," the old man said flatly, "and no vehicle either. After 10 p.m., this place is abandoned." "Then, I'll just wait here until morning," Rihan said, though the thought sent another chill through him. The old man's eyes widened in alarm. "Are you mad? No one stays here after dark. This station belongs to others." "Oh, others," Rihan stammered. "Leave before the 10 o'clock bell rings," the old man warned, his voice dropping to a grave whisper. "I'm telling you for your own good." Before Rihan could ask anything else, the old man hurried away, pushing his cart, and melted back into the oppressive darkness from which he came. Rihan was left alone, helpless, with nowhere to go and no way to leave. He sank onto a broken wooden bench. Time seemed to stretch and warp. The wind moaned through the cold iron pillars of the station roof, a lonely, mournful sound. There wasn't a single human sound to be heard, not a car horn, not a distant voice, nothing. Exhaustion eventually won the battle with his fear, and he drifted into a troubled, fitful sleep. Suddenly, dong dong dong. A giant unseen clock struck the hour, the sound jarring him awake. His heart leaped into his throat. Someone was sitting beside him on the bench, a figure, wrapped completely from head to toe in a white burial shroud, its head bowed low. Rihan's throat went dry. He couldn't breathe. Who are you? He managed to choke out. There was no reply. A figure, slowly, deliberately, stood up. It turned and walked toward the dark, empty track, and simply vanished. It didn't fade. It was just gone. Rihan's heart pounded in his ears, a frantic drumbeat against the silence. He whipped his head around, his nerves screaming, and his breath caught in his chest. Another shrouded figure was now sitting right next to him, exactly like the first one. What do you want? Rihan whispered, his voice trembling uncontrollably. Again, no answer. This one also stood, walked silently, toward the shadows of the station, and disappeared as if melting into the air itself. Rihan scrambled to his feet, pure terror giving him strength. He backed away, his eyes darting wildly around the platform, and then he saw them. Three more shrouded figures, scattered across the station. One was sitting on a pile of old sacks. Another stood motionless under the rusted clock. A third was by the ticket counter. All silent, all watching. He stumbled backward, shaking from head to toe. Please, I don't belong here. I just want to go home. One of the figures, the one by the clock, slowly rose and turned to face him. A hollow, echoing whisper, like wind through a tomb, emanated from deep within the shroud. No one leaves Carven Station. Once the dead arrive. As if on cue, the other figures began to move, gliding toward him without a sound. Rihan screamed, a raw, primal sound of absolute horror, and sprinted toward the station exit. But just as he reached it, the heavy iron gate slammed shut on its own with a deafening clang. He was trapped. The shrouded figures closed in, a silent, unstoppable tide of white. His screams echoed across the deserted platform, but there was no one to hear them. They were swallowed by the infinite, hungry darkness of Carven Station. The next morning, at a station in a nearby town, two railway workers were chatting near the tracks. "Did you hear the news?" one asked, sipping his tea. "Another one?" the other replied, not needing to ask for details. "Another body found at Carven Station." The first man sighed, a heavy, weary sound, that cursed place. Some poor traveler must have taken the wrong train again. It happens every year around this time. People never listen to the warnings. Such a shame, the other worker added, shaking his head. They said he looked like a lantern seller, probably just trying to get home to his family. In the distance, the station bell began to ring, its clear chime carrying on the morning air. Dong, dong. The two men shivered, despite the warmth of the rising sun.